everybody and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Anna, and today we are going to be talking about disappointing books. Books that truly disappointed us, that broke our hearts, that we still think about today because they disappointed us so freaking much. Those books that you wish you could love or you wanted to love, you had so many high expectations for them, everybody seems to love them, but you. Those are the books that we are going to be talking about today, and I'm going to bring you guys 5 books that utterly disappointed me. So the first one I'm going to be talking about, this one still has me, pissed until this very day, which is Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. I read this book back in 2021, and I thought I was going to love this. I was going to eat it up. It was going to become my new obsession, and the reason for that is because this has shadow magic. I absolutely love shadows. I love the dark. I love anything that is just weird and creepy. So I was like, yeah, sign me up. And then an assassin's school? Are you kidding me? I was so excited for that because I love any academic setting, as I'm sure all of you love as well. So I was just really excited, and it was also a morally gray female character, and I was just like, you know what, this is going to become my new obsession. It wasn't, it really wasn't. This one disappointed me, and I gave it, I think, 3 stars, but now that I look back, I think it's a 2.5 for me, but at the time, I did give it 3 stars, and to me, this was a big disappointment, because I just could not understand why people love this book so much. So, in this book, we follow Mia Corvair, and she is on a mission to revenge her family because her family was completely killed by, I'm going to call this the Republic because I don't know the correct term. So I'm going to call it, the government, the Republic, whatever you want to call it. And now she is on this quest to revenge her whole family. And in order to do that, she decides to embark on this journey to becoming an assassin. And she wants to go to the best schools. Otherwise, she won't be able to, have a chance to get close to the people that murdered her parents and her brother, I think, or sister. I don't know, just murder her family because obviously they are very important people, so there's no way that she's going to get near them without being trained to do so. So she goes to the Best Assassin Academy, and a lot of things happen there. I'm not going to say more because, of course, not everything is just about her revenge and her family. We have some plots happening at the academy that do involve some of the people that killed her family. So this to me was like revenge story, academic setting, shadow magic, powers. Yes, sign me up. But the reason why I did not like this book, it was because of Mia, okay? I love a morally great character like anyone else does, but she, to me, is just plain rude, and I do not like rude characters. If you know me, of course there are rude people in this world, and you can have other traits that make me tolerate you, but I could not tolerate Mia at all. I just thought she was such a bitch for no reason. Like, people were trying to help her, and she was just so angry and mean to them and rude, and it was just like, why are you like this? It's like, why are you like this? I understand that your whole family died, but every single person that is in this academy also has a horrible past, and they are not this rude. So why do you have to be this freaking rude? It just really turned me off. And then in the next books, because I did finish this trilogy, because I thought, it might get better. It did not get better, okay? Spoiler alert. She did something that to me is unforgivable. Where is loyalty? Like, where is your loyalty? Where do your loyalties lie? Like, I just could not with her, okay? She was the main reason why I did not like this trilogy at all, because if it was someone else, I would have loved this trilogy. I am 100% sure. It's not a perfect trilogy because even the story does have, sometimes some pacing issues, but I could look past that. But because of her, I cannot. She was just so detestable to me. I really do hate her, and I do not understand how so many people like her. I really don't. Because, for example, in his other trilogy, Empire of the Vampire, Gabriel Leon, he does have some rude moments, but he also has a very heartwarming moments. He's always helping people out, and you can understand that it is a defense mechanism. And with Mia, I didn't really grasp that. I didn't really get, the sensation that she was being rude to push people away, to not make friendships. I just really think she's rude. So for that reason, this book really disappointed me, and I still think about that disappointment to today. And another book that was really hyped on BookTube that I really did not get the hype, I was really disappointed, was the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. Now, this is written in the second person, so for me, that was already a little bit of an issue because I didn't like it. I didn't like the way that she wrote the story in the second person. To me, it just didn't really make that much sense. I don't know why she chose to do that. For example, Harrow the Ninth is written in the second person, but to me, it works so much better because it has a purpose. Harrow is not a reliable narrator after what happened to her in the first book. It only made sense that you were reading this book in the second person, but with the 5th season, I don't really know why the author chose to do that. made the whole reading process difficult for me, and I didn't really, like the story. I didn't think the story was anything special. I didn't really, I just didn't find it original or fascinating in any capacity. I also didn't really care for the characters. I do like the themes that were explored about mainly discrimination. That is at least the only theme that I can remember so far. Because in this world, you have people that are able to control, I'm going to say the earth. They are earthbenders, essentially. So they can, cause earthquakes and all that kind of stuff. And in this world, every season, you have some catastrophic event that happens. The world just ends, and the survivors have to build everything up from the ground. And that is happening again, the 5th season. So there is a desolation happening. And our main character, a mother, she is looking for her daughter because her husband kidnapped her daughter after knowing that she also inherited powers from her mother. Because in this world, people who control the earth and have these powers are not well seen at all, because they are always connected to destruction, to earthquakes, to the end of the world, but they are also the ones that can solve it and can kind of control it. So this mother is trying to find her daughter, and she's going on a quest to do that. I did read the Obelisk as well because I thought, okay, it can get better. It did not. Okay, it just did not get better. And I don't know really how to explain it. I just felt like I said, the story was lacking. It wasn't anything special by any means. I wasn't invested in the characters enough to care. And the way it was written in the second person just really was not for me. I was not vibing with the story at all. And I don't understand. I do not understand why this book and why this trilogy as a whole has so much hype. And it really pains me. It really does pain me because I was left utterly disappointed. And I was feeling a little bit left out because I was just like, is it me? Like, am I the problem? Am I not understanding this book? Am I dumb? Like, am I dumb? Do I not understand what the character was trying to say? I just really felt so bad, especially because I give this book, I think it was a 2-star. I think, yeah, to these 2 books, the 5th season and the Obelisk Gate, I gave them 2 stars. And I did have some people that understood my rating and understood why I felt the way that I felt. But I don't know, just seeing everyone talking about this book in such a highly manner and saying that it's perfection, it's one of their S-tiers trilogies of all times, it just makes me feel inadequate by some reason. I don't know. So I was also utterly disappointed by this book. And since we are talking about popular reads, there was one book that was really popular back in 2021 because of the Netflix show, and I'm talking about 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. To me, it was such a disappointment because here's the thing. I've read Shadow and Bone, the trilogy, before I read 6 of Crows, and I was also disappointed by that trilogy, but I wasn't really disappointed with that trilogy because I don't know why, I was already prepared to not love it as much as the other people, and I was correct. I didn't hate it, but I also didn't really love it, but I was really expecting to like 6 of Crows because it has much of a darker atmosphere. It's a heist, we have some really great characters, and the setting is winter, it's up in the mountains, in the cold mountains, with ice, snow, everything, and I absolutely love that. So I generally thought, okay, I'm going to love this book, especially because a lot of people said, I don't really like Shadow and Bone, but I love the 6 of Crows duology, you're going to love this, yada, yada, yada. So I had such high expectations for that duology. I know, it was just not for me. I was also utterly disappointed, and I think at the end of the day, it was because this is YA, and it just felt so young adult to me. And not only that, I didn't really enjoy the writing that Leigh Bardugo had in this book. I don't know, she just felt so repetitive. Everything was really repetitive, especially when it came to the character's past. So for example, anytime Kaz Brekker did anything that was rude, mean, insensitive, or just purely logical, and he wasn't really, paying attention to what other people felt and all that kind of stuff, he just did what had to be done, basically. She would always say, that's Kaz Brekker for you. He went through a lot. This is how he is. He is such a mean person, yada, yada, yada. And it just felt so repetitive. The same thing happened to the character of Matthias, for example. He comes from a people that they don't really accept people who have powers. They view them as witches, horrible people, abominations from God. So every time he saw someone using their powers and their abilities, he always cringed, and he was always, thinking like, oh my God, this is not natural. Oh my God, they always taught me this way. Maybe they're not that bad. Maybe these people are not that bad. Or anytime he had a bad thought, the author would always say, oh, Matthias, it was his past. That's how he was raised. And it was just always like this, always so repetitive, and it got to a point where I was like, I get it. Like, I understand, I get it. You don't have to keep reminding me of these characters' past, especially with Kaz, because I don't know why, it felt like she was trying to convince me that Kaz was a bad person and he was an evil person, even though he was like 16, I don't know, it just felt I just really didn't like the writing. I didn't connect with the writing, and that made me not really like the characters that much. And of course, because this book is YA, the writing did feel a little bit juvenile at times. I just think this book was not for me. I think if this book would have been, an adult fantasy, I would have loved it way more than I did, because we all love heists. We all love the winter setting. So it was just very, very unfortunate, because I, back in 2021, that's when I started reading, a little bit more frequently. I was reading a lot more fantasy, and I was discovering new things. And because it was popular at the time, due to the Netflix series, I thought, okay, maybe I'm going to like this. I was still basically just like figuring out what I liked and what I didn't like. And that's why I decided to read Six of Crows. And that's why I was so disappointed. I give it 2 stars as well, because I just wanted to, I wanted it to be my whole personality. I wanted it to be my new obsession. I wanted to be just like all the other girls on TikTok and just rave about it and talk about it. And honestly, I actually remember posting a TikTok saying that was the worst book that I read that year. And it got 20,000 views, which I know is not a lot, but to me it was. It went viral, quote unquote. And it had so many comments. And half of the comments were, girl, I get it. Finally someone said it. I also don't really understand the hype. But the other half was like, girl, how? Do you even read? You're illiterate. Literally, I had comments like that.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
And it really made me sad. I do have, I am very sensitive. I don't have a thick skin whatsoever. But it wasn't just because they were insulting me. It was also because I really wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to be a part of the obsession and rave about the book. But I just really could not. And that's why I was left very, very, very disappointed. And another book. And this time I was not influenced, by the mass people. Of course it was popular. That's why, I got around to see it. But I was very, very excited to read this book, because the magic system seemed so intriguing. And the book I'm talking about is The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart, I think. And I was left disappointed. Now, the first book, 4 stars. I actually liked it. It was a solid read. I loved the locked door mystery. If you haven't seen the video where I talk about my 5 favorite tropes of all time, then you should, because this one is included. And it's the same setting as Gideon the Knight. In this book, we follow a girl. And I'm going to call her a girl because I cannot remember the name of her for the life of me, okay? I cannot remember her name, so the girl. And she is the daughter of the emperor of this land. And all she's trying to do is learn more about the magic system, because her father, the emperor, he is paranoid. He is not teaching anyone the magic system. He's not teaching how it works, because in this world, the magic system, it's constructs. So what I mean is, you can build this sort of doll or this sort of construct, this sort of, just this weird machine, and then what you have to do is, what the emperor does, he makes all of his people, all of his subjects, take a little piece of the bone here from the ear, a little piece of the cartilage, and you have to give it to him. And what he does is, he picks up that little piece of bone, he writes a command inside of it, and then he has to put that piece of cartilage inside of the construct. And if, the more complex you want the construct to be, the more cartilage and the more bone you have to use, and you have to be very careful with the commands that you write down, because the construct is going to follow those commands literally. So you really have to think about the words that you are going to use. For example, he has a construct that is his bodyguard. So he understands that he has to protect him from any sort of danger, but he also has to write down that he cannot be mean towards his daughter, that his daughter is a safe person that can approach him, but other people are not safe. But he also has to write down, okay, this is what you kind of have to look for, suspicious behavior. This is what suspicious behavior is. So as you can tell, it's very complex. He has constructs, for example, with his spy network. Again, it's very complex because you have to teach that construct, which can be made of body parts, but it can also be made of just random materials like pillows, anything, literally anything. And so you do have all these complex constructs. And the daughter of this emperor, she wants to learn more about this magic system, but his father is paranoid. He is not teaching anyone about this magic system because it's not, it has a very high price to pay, which for every bone that he uses, the person that gave the bone is suffering. So their life expectancy literally gets sucked away from them and they end up dying early. And of course, the subjects, they know this, they notice this, but they can't really do anything because they can't really fight the emperor because of all of the constructs that he has built around him. So now the daughter is, inside of that castle, she's stuck in there, and she has to find ways to open locked doors to see and read about all of the books so she can also learn how to make her own constructs. And of course, we do have other characters and other POVs, other plot lines. Rebellion is going to start. The world that we know might be in danger. So, of course, you do have other POVs. But I absolutely love the locked key setting. Like I said, I just love when the characters have to find the keys and have to fight and get over these obstacles and get more knowledge and all. Just pass tests. That's what I really, really absolutely love. And I also really liked and enjoyed the magic system. What disappointed me was the second book. Because oh my god, I don't know how, but it was just so freaking bad. Like, I don't know what happened to the author. It felt like she didn't really know what to do with the story, what to do with the writing, what to do with anything, just literally anything. It was just really bad. I can't even remember what the story was about. All I know is her character, it just got worse. Like, it just got worse. The magic system didn't really matter. And then we just started finding out more things about this world that I didn't really understand. So I was heartbroken when I read the sequel because I thought, the first book, like I said, it wasn't anything special, but it was still a solid 4 stars. So I was excited for this trilogy because I had never seen, a magic system like this before. But the second book really disappointed me, and it just, until to this day, I am mad. To this day, I am mad that I did not like this book. I think I read this back in 2023, and I don't know, because I was putting it off for such a long time because I was always afraid that I wasn't going to like it, that it wasn't going to be my thing, and it wasn't. Like, I was right. It really wasn't. Like I said, it's just, I don't really know what to say. Like, I don't have words to say how disappointed I was when I read the sequel because it was bad. And last but not least, another book that highly disappointed me was The Guinevere Deception by Kiersten White. I think that's the name of the author. And the reason why this disappointed me is because, I do like Arthurian legend. It is one of my favorite legends, mainly because of my boyfriend, because he is obsessed with it. So I also learned how to like it. And I was very, very excited because this was a retelling and it was from a women's point of view. So I thought, okay, let's get the women's point of view. And this character is actually very, very funny because she is the daughter of Merlin. And she is going to disguise herself as Guinevere because Guinevere is dead in this book. So she disguises herself as Guinevere. She goes to marry Arthur, and then the tale ensues from there. You do have, of course, Mordred doing things that he is not supposed to do. So it is mainly similar to the Arthurian legend. The problem that I had with it was, number one, I think the first book was very, very slow and short. So nothing much happened. I did like the romance, which to me is very, very rare. I really like the romance between the fake Guinevere and Arthur. They're just so cute together. They were just very, very cute. But then, of course, Mordred had to show up. So now we have a love triangle. And I hate love triangle. So when that happened, I clocked off. I logged off. My mind was just like, okay, you ruined it. You ruined it because now I want her to be with Arthur. What if she isn't? What if she doesn't end up with Arthur? That's even worse. So I actually checked who she stays with or who she ends up with. And it's with Lancelot. So that's even worse. But anyways, I just felt the story was very slow paced and nothing really happened. And I don't remember much. To be honest, all I remember is the ending because I did find the ending interesting. But one thing that I didn't really like, and I might get in trouble for this, I know, but I'm still going to say it anyways. They gender bent Lancelot, and I don't like that. Okay, I just really don't like that because in this world, let's just be honest, women, they were not knights, okay? They were not knights back in the Arthurian times, and I don't really like that the author chose to make Lancelot a woman, and the reason for that is because I felt like she did that just because, oh my god, look at women, she's the best knight around, she's the best one with a sword. Literally, that's how it felt. It just felt like the author wanted to add one badass female character, so she just decided to gender bend Lancelot. So it wasn't really, that's the thing, it wasn't really for the plot. It didn't add anything to the plot. It was just, let's have a bad female character here. Let's just have a badass female character that knows how to fight. That's the best fighter around here. She's better than Arthur and Mordred because feminism, and I just really didn't like that. And it's not to say that I don't like strong female characters because I absolutely do, and you do have those in Arthurian legends. Literally, you have all of the people that did, I don't want to say witchcraft. Yeah, there we go, witchcraft. You have so many characters that had powers. Nimue, and then Vivian, I think she was the queen of Avalon. So you do have women that were powerful. So I just didn't like that choice, and that really pulled me off of the story. And because Lancelot was added to the plot, it was just one more love interest, and I was like, now we have, is this a square? Now we have a square, and I just don't really like that. I just find that so messy, so dramatic for no reason. So I was just highly, highly, highly disappointed with this book. And to today, I still think about this book, and I still think, should I reread this and then read the second book just to make sure that I really didn't like this one? So I was just disappointed, okay? I was really, really sad because I was expecting to love this book. And actually, this was one of the first books that I saw around when I entered the world of Bookstagram and Book Talk and BookTube. This was one of the first books that I was like, you know what, I'm actually very interested to read this. But again, because I didn't know if it was going to be good or not, if I was going to love it or not, I pushed it away. I didn't really read it, and I think I also read this one in 2023. And another reason why I was just so sad, it's because look at this cover. This cover is amazing. I absolutely love this cover. I just think it's so beautiful. And even the cover of the next two books, they are gorgeous, stunning, amazing. And I would just love to have, just these books up on my shelves. But just knowing that I really did not vibe with this story at all makes me really, really sad. And that is all for this video, guys. These were 5 books that highly disappointed me because I had high expectations, or I just really thought I was going to love these books because of the magic system, the world, the setting, the plot, just the themes, everything. It just didn't really hit, it just didn't really hit the spot, and they just left me really, really sad with my heart broken. And if you have read any of these books, please let me know if you've loved any of them, if you really liked them, and why you liked them. And also, please let me know if I should continue reading any of these books. So, for example, the Nevernight trilogy and Six of Crows, I did read, all of the books in that same universe, in that same story, so those I'm not going to reread again. The 5th season, the Bone Shard Daughter, and also the Guinevere Deception, I never really finished the trilogy, so do you think I should finish? So for example, the 5th season, I did read the first 2 books, and when it comes to the Bone Shard Daughter, I also read the first 2 books. I never read the last book in the trilogy, but the Guinevere Deception, I only read the first one. So please let me know if any of these 3 books I should continue with the series. Do you think I should give it another chance? Maybe, my taste has changed. Maybe I can finally see what everyone else has seen. I don't really know, because sometimes I do think and I do wonder, was it me? Was it me? Was it the time that I read? Was I not just mentally there? Like, what didn't I see? Should I give it another chance? So if you have read any of these books, please let me know down in the comments below if I should give a chance to any of these books. And of course, please like and subscribe to this video, because it does help my channel out a lot, and it gives me a lot of motivation and validation to continue filming these videos for you guys. And I will see you on my next video. Bye!